Bull Bitcoin is partnering up with Bitcoin Mentor, which is Ben's new venture with Mike Cook. Do you want to just explain to us a little bit, Bitcoin Mentor, how we're going to work together, what's going to happen, and what you guys are going to do?
Yeah. So Bitcoin Mentor came about with me and Mike, where I kind of came to a point where I was doing one-on-ones, educating people through self-custody and beyond. And I just got so busy. I got to the point where I had no more hours in the day left to give. And so the idea was, without degrading the quality of education, let's put together a team. Let's have myself as an educator educate the educators, so that they can have a level of quality to their instruction that is unparalleled by anybody else. And so I think we've done that. We had 350 people apply to be mentors. We've got a team of 16 that we whittled it down to. We took the best to the best, and then we got chatting to you guys, and you guys had some challenges that you wanted to meet, and you reached out, didn't you?
Yeah, you guys showed up. Like, the timing of the thing was crazy, because in terms of scaling Bull Bitcoin and more people being orange pilled, we have the mission. Our missionaries are out there in the field preaching their orange coin. But the sticking point is when people show up to Bull Bitcoin, we're a self-custodial Bitcoin exchange. So people need to know how and where to put their Bitcoin safely. So we were doing that through bitcoinsupport.com for a long time, but it was super intensive. Just like you're doing on your side, you know how much time it takes to do right. You can skim through things, but people come back. So we'd always take the time. It could be 2-hour calls, a 1.5-hour call, and then the next week, just leveling people up, but it just wouldn't scale.
Yeah.
You guys showed up right at the time where we couldn't quite deliver on the standard we wanted to, because we set our standards really high, and we want to make sure that every single one of our clients feels sovereign.
Yeah.
Not just thinks they are, or have watched a few podcasts, but they feel sovereign.
Yeah.
So to get them to that point, there's a lot of reassurance that needs to take place. There's a lot of Q&A, and it was something we just simply couldn't scale. So it basically our missions became aligned very quickly. As soon as you launched Bitcoin Mentor, I jumped on your newsletter.
Yeah.
I spied on you from a distance, and within 2 days, I was like, no, I got to reach out. Yeah. So I was super happy to be able to reach out, and you guys, both you and Mike, welcomed us with open arms.
Yeah.
And I'm excited for everything that's to come.
Yeah, it's I think it's important, especially as people are starting their learning journey, that they do it in a way that leads them down the path of being as self-sovereign as possible. Right. And that's what we set out to do. And I think that we've been doing it well, and I think that we're going to continue to do it really, really well. And again, it's an honor for you guys to have looked at that and said, we'd like to be alongside you guys and work together hand in hand. So
yeah, it's awesome. Because another thing, just thinking back about what we could do, the limits of what we could do, we'd usually get people set up so where they could buy and stack.
Yeah.
And then it would pretty much end there. But as we know, that's only the beginning, right?
Yes.
People get the hot wallet, then they'll step onto the cold, and that's where we couldn't really follow them anymore. But then the node question comes up, and then the mining and the multi-sig and the families and the lightning. And there's all of these different layers to Bitcoin. So being able to mentor them through that with Bitcoin Mentor. It's not just for beginners. If anybody's looking at this, it's for anybody who has any type of Bitcoin related question. You can help out more or less.
And there's a phenomenon, because yes, there's the newcomers that are starting, or the people that are leveling up, but there's this phenomenon in Bitcoin that I've noticed where there's what I refer to as a bit of a Bitcoin Luddite. And so this would be somebody that they did learn a number of steps, and they've done something in their Bitcoin journey where they have a degree of control over their sats, and they kind of know what's up, or they did, and then they kind of just left it, and they've stood still throughout time and haven't continued to learn. And now they may be in a position where they're like, is what I've done the right thing for me? Is it as secure as I thought it was? Like, can I get a gut check spots here? Yeah, are there any blind spots? What if something happens to me? Does my family even know?
The inheritance piece is huge.
Yeah, like there's so many different things. Or it could just be like a curiosity of like, geez, like I have a hardware device, and I've secured my sats, but like I don't even know what a node is, why I might run one, and how I would even use that. And people get to a point where they've been in Bitcoin a long time. They may not know those things yet, which is okay, but they feel too afraid to ask and
Yep.
then continue the learning journey. And you don't need to feel afraid to ask. The only, I would say, the only reason that anybody should have any reservation is in and around being uncomfortable to ask, because people will be there to support you. And that was kind of the impetus for Bitcoin Mentors, to take people at any point in that journey and say, where are you at? What are you interested in? And let's see what we can do next, and lay out pathways that can be very customized.
Totally.
But, hey, maybe you want to, go full self-sovereign. I want to learn key management. I want to learn how to do my hardware and cold storage. I want to learn how to run a node. And then maybe you're going, full degen like me, where you're just on a Bitcoin standard entirely, and you're going to need to know how to utilize Bitcoin when sometimes we have high fee environments, and where to spend it, how to use it, how to accept it as a business, all kinds of stuff to learn.
I mean, like, Bitcoin can scale pretty much to anyone's personal situation. But the getting there is always the hard thing. And just what you were saying about people getting a checkup, on their setup. I never knew where to go. Like, I'd done a lot of the work and I got to that Luddite stage, but pushed through it. But then you see a lot of people who, they don't know where to go. And the default is to go to Reddit and comment sections. And that's a dangerous place to go to try and get your information. And we see people falling into kind of comments, obviously with the scams and obviously all the potholes out there. There is a risk to looking for all of the information and the guidance on the internet. You can get all of the information on the internet, but getting the guidance on the internet is super difficult, because you're essentially establishing trust with people you don't know. So the human side of it is super important to me, and that's what I've always kind of valued in education. And it's so nice that, Bitcoin for a long time was just a programmer, developer thing. It was about apps, it was about nodes, it was about networks. But now we're breaking through into this social layer with the meetups and the SAT market, with the businesses, but also the interrelational side of it with education. And I'm so, it's like the next frontier of scaling Bitcoin, in my opinion. So I just wanted to ask questions about education in general. How did you get started in education and Bitcoin?
So pre-Bitcoin, I taught little kids how to breakdance for a decade. So I went into schools and I had studios and stuff too, but for the bulk of it, I was going into schools, and in phys ed, when the dance unit came up, instead of the phys ed teacher doing it, it would be I'd step into the school for a week. Every class would learn their own routine, and at the end of the week, they'd have a performance for the parents and the teachers and everything. And so there's an element to education where, regardless of the content, if you can take a complex thing and break it into bite-sized pieces where it's digestible, if you have that skill set, then it kind of transcends the topic, as long as you understand the underlying topic yourself. And so I took a lot of that, of thinking like, how granular would I have to get with a kid in kindergarten when describing a complex dance move to them? And how do I take that same lesson and break it down into describing what a private key is and how to manage a wallet and how that actually interacts with the Bitcoin network? And so, I try to take that approach, and that's kind of what informed me getting there. And a lot of it, when I got into Bitcoin, I'm a very visual learner. There was no video content, and I was looking for it and I couldn't find it. Like you said, I ended up in those forums, scouring Reddit, looking on Bitcoin Talk, and people saying like, scroll down partway through this post, some dude wrote some Cliff Notes on what he did.
And then you check it out and it's archived.
Exactly. And that was the learning trajectory. So for me, a lot of it just became, all right, I guess I'll just download this thing and try it and figure it out myself. And then after going through that for 2 years on my own and getting through a number of things and starting to finally get to understand some stuff, I was like, I know there's got to be people out there that are having the same moments that I did these past 2 years. I feel like it would be useful to throw together a video on what I did here, so people can quickly look at that and save themselves the week that I spent learning it myself.
Right, because when you're doing that weight as well, I always find the thing that I feel from curious learners who want to know as much as they can as quick as possible, the fact that they have to put in time to learn the necessary steps is something that, especially when the price is moving, is something they're maybe not too happy doing. They want to get all in from day one and just be like, hey, set and forget. But Bitcoin does have a learning curve. But it's not just a smooth curve. It's full of those ups and downs, and you put things away for a while and you come back to it. So I suppose what we're both going to do with this partnership at Bull Bitcoin and with Bitcoin Mentor is smooth out that curve again, right? Just take out some of the bumps in the road and just kind of help people along the way. All right. So in terms of Bitcoin education as well, in general, outside of individuals, where do you feel we're at now? And where do you feel we have to go to establish and wave this Bitcoin banner and that we can scale across education?
So I think the trajectory that we're on is very promising. And the reason I say that is I've seen it in doing one-on-ones myself. I see the level of education that people have been able to achieve in very short periods of time. Like I'll talk to people that got into Bitcoin a year ago and they're like, yeah, I got my self-custody, I'm using a cold card, I'm using it with Sparrow Wallet, and I did set up a node and I linked it to Sparrow, but now I've got some questions about this, that, and the other thing. And I'm like, you got into Bitcoin a year ago. Good for you. And I'm seeing these things that I've never seen before, where people they're so hungry for information, and now we have it. Now we have it available, and we have, obviously, like I've been doing tutorials for 8 years on YouTube, and that's helpful, but some people have always needed that helping hand, that person to be there alongside them to say like, yep, you're doing it right. Yeah, go ahead, click that button. You're here you go. And just sometimes they just need that tiny little extra push to get them through it. Or, something where in a tutorial you may be watching it, and then if it's not quite up to date and something has moved, and
because Bitcoin moves quick and the apps move and the updates come out, and
and a lot of times people can piece it together, but other times it's just like somebody gets hung up and something changes or something's a little bit different, or they encounter an issue that I didn't in the video, and then they're just stuck. And it's like, well, if you can't get over that hurdle, then you can't move on with the rest of the education in that part. And so a lot of people really, really like just having somebody walk them through it the first time. And then again, they gain that self-sovereignty the next time around no, now I know, now I'm good. But people are hungry to level up. And we've seen this proliferation of Bitcoin educators that I had not till this point really seen. And there's starting to be more and more. And it makes me happy. And we were able to build a fantastic team with Bitcoin Mentor. And I think we're going to see a lot more of this. And because of it, I think that snowball is going to pick up speed and it's going to grow. So there's going to be a lot more people that are able to get a lot more self-sovereign a lot quicker.
That's it. Amen, brother.
Yeah.
Ben, thanks so much for joining us for the podcast and hanging out. And so all Bull Bitcoin clients can head over to Bitcoin Mentor. Bitcoin Mentor can come over to Bull Bitcoin. We're a big happy family having fun at the rodeo.
Yeah.
So
and they can all kumbaya together at bitcoinsupport.com.
There we go. Thank you. Yeah. Thanks so much, Ben. Have
Cheers,
a great
man.
conference.
Thanks.